Did you know that Mother Root is the #1 value-driving SKU in the non-alcoholic beverage market in the UK right now? Well, I knew they were doing well, but I didn't know they were doing that well. And my God, there is still so much headroom for this brand. Bethan Higson, who's the founder, and Alice Gallsworthy come on the show today to talk about how they have driven a brand who, when I knew them 4 years ago, was doing about 4K a month to an average run rate of, I think, 16 to 18 million a year. They've got 10 people. Most of that growth is coming from online e-commerce and Amazon, D2C. They are doing so well. There are so many super fans of this brand. If you haven't heard of it, you've got to go and try it. Let's dive in. Bethan Higson, Alice Gallsworthy of Mother Root. Welcome to Brand Growth Heroes.
Hello.
Hey, hi.
How are you doing?
Excited to be here.
Listen, it is so great to see you. Bethan, Alice, we've only just met and I'm so looking forward to getting to talk to you properly because obviously we hang out a lot on LinkedIn together, but we haven't got to chew the fat. And Bethan, you and I go way back to 2021, I think, isn't it?
I know, nearly the very beginning, the early days, Fiona.
The early days. So the last time we spoke was when I think you so kindly sent me the most beautiful jumper. I was lying in bed, had started chemo, and we were doing a catch-up call, or I can't remember what it was. And I loved your jumper. And the next thing you sent me won the post. And I was so moved. And it's the most gorgeous jumper. And thank you so much once again. It was really, really kind.
Oh, of course. I remember those days really fondly. I was doing one of the first brand growth programs. And it was amazing. It was really, really helpful.
Thank you. One of the things that you talked about all the time was finding the right person to help you lead this business forward. And fast forward a few years. Obviously, Alice, you've been with the brand now, or the business, 3 years, is it?
Yeah, just coming up to 3 years.
And the brand is flying, the business is flying. I mean, I know you've put so much in place, Bethan, before Alice arrived, but the two of you, whenever we see you on LinkedIn, anyone who's looking for that second person in their business is like seriously envious and happy to see such fabulous team and led by two fabulous women. I mean, it's obviously working really well between you, is it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Oh my God. Definitely what they say is it's the team that makes the business grow. And I think finding someone who's got that right fit for your own personality, whether that's just you're having a laugh and you really enjoy working together, but also that they've got like the contrary skill set to what you have and can really help start to actually deliver on what you know is possible, like the potential of the business. So when I met Alice, I was like, I have to find a way to get her in the business. It was immediate.
Alice, we're going to talk all about the background that you bring to this because I think that's really interesting for people out there, founders who are looking at who they might bring on. I think you've got such an interesting background that not everybody might necessarily think about looking to when they're recruiting. But first of all, Bethan, when we were talking last, I think the business was doing 1.5 million in ARR average run rate. Now are you willing to share like a fork even for us?
We're in the region of 16 million at the minute.
I can't believe the world doesn't know this. They probably do. But like, let's say 14 to 17 million in average run rate. That is bloody incredible. It's huge. And some of the other stats you were giving us, tell us all the number ones that you have.
Alice, go for it.
We are. Nielsen data, we'll put some footnotes. #1 non-alcoholic spirit brand in the UK. And that is with, I think I can quote Alex on this, 6 or 7% distribution.
So above like people like Seedlip and, you know, Gordon's non-alcoholic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You are bigger than them and you've only got 6 percentage points of distribution.
Exactly.
With whom? Who are you distributed with?
We are with Waitrose, Ocado, Sainsbury's.
We've only just got into the full Sainsbury's.
No, we haven't yet.
Oh, not yet?
No.
That's to come.
That's to come.
Oh my God.
You heard it here first.
So in terms of the Nielsen data then, so Mother Root is that mean like you're the biggest SKU sales week on week or actually the biggest brand sales?
Biggest revenue driver per SKU.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. And so basically you should be in the UK in 70 to 80% distribution ASAP. I mean, that's the headroom here, isn't it? It's mental.
Yeah, it is mental.
Isn't
it really is mental. Yeah. Yeah.
For those people who don't know what Mother Root is, and can I just say, like, I am actually addicted to Mother Root, and I do bang on about this on LinkedIn quite a lot in other podcast episodes when we've been talking about non-alcoholic. Like, I'm someone who I'm very open with saying that, you know, I've had a drink every evening for most of my adult life. Never go more than 2. Don't binge drink on the weekends. But, you know, that's not a good thing. It is not a good thing to be having a drink every night. Yeah, and it's usually a beer. It might be a glass of wine. But since I discovered mother root, I'm able to punctuate that with 3-4 nights of mother root. And actually, it is like something that I gasp for, you know? And I don't know why that is. Well, I do, because we've talked about it quite a bit, Bethan. But can you bring us back? Why did you create mother root? What is it? Why are you the biggest value driving SKU in the UK in non-alcoholic above all of those massive companies? What is it about the product?
Well, actually, before I answer that, I want to say, you were saying it's not a good thing that I want a drink at the end of the day. I actually dispute that. I think that moment, that pause at the end of the day is something that is so integral. It's a huge part about being human. It's a signal and a ritual that tells yourself it's your time. It's your moment to slow down after all the hecticness and chaos of the day. The 6 p.m. ritual is very personal. It's maybe a time that you can actually connect with your partner. Like you've both come back from work and you're having a moment and you're cooking and you're inviting friends. It's so social, it's so ritualistic, and it's so connected with enjoyment and pleasure, which is a huge part of feeling good. Okay. And that's why I'm so passionate about, it's not about the alcohol, it's about the moment. But what you need is a drink that honors that moment, something that is full flavoured, got a lot of quality, that's delicious, that you're going to actually actively opt in to have. We say that it's not about what you take out, it's about what you put in that counts. And so actually we're reframing it as, rather than being non-alcoholic, which is a term that works for now for the category, but it sort of does it a disservice. We want to be your go-to rather than your instead of. It's really about capturing that like anticipation and desirability.
That's so true, because I do have anticipation for mother root. Yes, the moment. I know from working with you on Brand Growth Heroes pre-mini MBA, we used to call it the growth strategy program, but it was Brand Growth Heroes programs. Back in the day, you used to talk to me about the perfect serve, because that's your background, isn't it, from LMVH?
Yeah, one day it'll be called, I joked, Alice, LVMR.
Oh, good. Nice.
No,
if that's not a hello signal to them, I don't know what is.
Oh no, maybe it'll be an acquisition coming from this side.
Oh, from the other way around.
No. Anyway, it's entirely that. I think that I had 10 years in the premium wines and spirits industry, so my love of like well-crafted adult beverages goes back a long way. That comes from all the scientific bits, the viticulture, the agriculture that goes into actually sourcing amazing ingredients to the fermentations and the blends. It's the storytelling of the history. All of that is rich cultural territory that belongs also in the non-alcoholic space. So I wanted to bring that across. And then it's also about how do you serve it, that moment that makes it special, that says, I care about you or I care about me, and just actually taking the time to make a great drink. All of that's really important.
And you've ended up with, you've got one SKU pretty much, other than a few seasonalities, right? So you've got one SKU. And I said to you in the pre-call, I said, I can't believe you've done all this at one SKU. And what did you guys say back to me?
I said, Aperol did it.
I mean, and you're so right. And then you said Guinness did it, So this one SKU, the bottle size, I mean, I love your new packaging, by the way. I loved your old packaging, but I do love your new packaging. It sits perfectly in the side door of my fridge, which is really great.
Perfect.
The flat bit, because it's a flat bottle. Talk to me about the actual liquid and the actual organoleptics of it, because I think that's really important from an alcohol moment or a non-alcoholic moment, the evening ritual moment, for me anyway.
A lot of non-alcoholic drinks kind of lean onto botanicals or bitters. What we're doing with ours, which is ginger-based, ginger and apple cider vinegar are the core ingredients to the base of mother root, is we are creating a slow burn territory. So we like to speak about building heat, and that warmth and that hit that you get from drinking mother root means that you sip it and you get that burn. You sip it slowly. It really, actually, you feel it in your body.
I do.
It gives you that lift. It gives you, apparently ginger also actually actively raises the core body temperature.
I get a little euphoria.
That comes from the nature of the ingredients. It's very, very, there's a lot of natural ginger that goes in there. We also add extra heat with a bit of chili as well. The approach to when I was making it was really taking that concept of, the fermented ingredient was key, because fermentation is where flavor is built. So every time there is a fermentation process, you're actually developing more flavonoids in a base liquid. So we have the apple cider vinegar in there, not just for acidity, but also because it gives that length on the mid palate. So that's different to a soda or a fizzy drink, which is just usually carbonated water, flavour, and maybe a citric acid. So it's quite two-dimensional. You get a big flavour pop and then it's gone. Whereas this, it lingers and there's a length on the palate, which is much more akin to an alcoholic fermented product.
Yeah, completely. And even in your throat and in your chest, you get that kind of rays of warmth that radiate outwards. It's fabulous. I'm thrilled to introduce Brand Growth Heroes partner, Gallsworthy. Gallsworthy is a leading B Corp certified commercial law firm that specialises in guiding the founders of scaling CPG brands. With long-term relationships with clients like Little Moons, Trip, Eat Natural, Bear, Graze and Pulson, Gallsworthy is also famous for advising the Innocent founders in their landmark sale to Coca-Cola. And believe it or not, they still work with the Innocent founders at Jam Jar Investments today. I'm especially impressed by how Gallsworthy sets founders up for long-term success and by their commitment to championing female founders. Recently, I asked managing partner Paul Chappie, why does a scaling brand need a corporate lawyer?
So you definitely need someone that's going to have your back, that is going to be looking at those pitfalls that may be coming in the future, preferably someone that knows the industry, because having that context is really important when negotiating, be that commercial agreements or funding arrangements. And at the end of the day, you really need to have someone that you can trust and obviously can negotiate hard when they need to.
Huge thanks to Brand Growth Heroes podcast sponsors, Gallsworthy. Now let's get back to the show. In terms of how you've grown then from, and this is a question really for both of you, what has your growth model been then from those early days? Did you get stuck at any particular revenue? And then how did you then, what kicked into gear that you all of a sudden started shooting upwards?
At the point when Alice came in, we were doing a lot. We had D2C, we had a bit of on-trade going, a bit of local, independent retail going, and things were sort of stagnating. And I was splitting my budget across too many channels and too many marketing channels, trying to do a lot of things, but nothing was really moving the needle. And when Alice joined was at the same point where we decided to go all in on D2C to basically then focus our marketing investment into one channel, which then meant that we could build a growth engine and a growth model that was repeatable and then scalable.
Let's just diagnose that or analyse that for a little moment. So did that mean that you were walking away from the other channels? So we call that in the programme where to play, don't we? The where to play decisions. Did you just start reallocating budget and mental and, cognitive and energy time focus onto this channel? Or did you actually walk away from other channels?
So I guess we took an approach for indies. We didn't walk away, but we were not kind of investing going after new business.
Okay.
But we did stop things like direct delivery. So we no longer would fulfill any orders directly from our warehouse. So if it wasn't through a distributor, we were essentially walking away from the business because we wanted to streamline. The on-trade, we stopped going for new business, and we did kind of rationalize a bit through the fact that we were stopping doing direct delivery again, because we knew that to get the on-trade right, that was a massive amount of investment and expertise that we didn't have and we didn't want to focus on at that time. And it comes with risk, because if you don't get the on-trade right, that's actually brand damaging. So we knew that if we wanted to go into a channel, we were like, let's go deep and let's win in that channel. And that's been our strategy.
Can I just ask, Alice or Bethan, did that hurt? Because you coming from that on-trade perfect serve, I can't imagine that wasn't really painful emotionally for you to not serve with excellence.
Yes and no. The on-trade is also really challenging. You hit on a lot of closed doors. Some of it culturally, they're not necessarily on board the non-alcoholic drinks train yet. They're, the people who open up bars and restaurants are lovers of wine and, spirits. And, they don't necessarily believe in it. And there wasn't enough. The data still in this customer segment is still really young.
Okay.
It's new. So we don't have rich data to say, look, there's all this demand. We're at the early stage of it. So it's just whether they buy into it. So you get a lot of rejection.
So you tried and it wasn't working. So you'd come to the point where you're like, okay, I'm happy to I've tried that. Maybe it's not the right time. I'm happy to go this other way. So what happened then, Alice? What did you do in order to drive this growth? And maybe that's a question for Bethan or you, but how did it start then? once you made that decision?
I think it all started at the beginning with really trying to get to understand our consumer. Like, all of our growth is primarily driven by taking consumer insights and then turning that into digital marketing campaigns through paid social. It was like the earlier days, and we felt super stretched in terms of time because it was primarily Bethan and I with freelancers for a year. But our growth agency were the ones kind of helping us understand this whole concept of jobs to be done, basically where we were interviewing, say, 2 or 3 customers a week each and taking half an hour of their time and really getting to the root of what the problem is they're looking to solve. So it's not their reaction to your product, it's what has led you to the point of this purchase. And we were then starting to build up these customer profiles, which were, you'd often see kind of 2 or 3 of the key profiles, and it's, our target demographic is like females 40 plus, looking to kind of bring pleasure and joy into their life, but they're also health conscious. They may be pre or perimenopausal. They love a glass of wine. They love that kind of high acidity. Maybe it's Sauvignon Blanc or a Riesling. They love that wind down moment, but actually it disrupts their sleep, or they have a really busy life and they want something where they feel really good about what they're drinking. And then it's taking those insights and then building that into creative that we are then, advertising on Facebook and Instagram to really help bring more of that customer base in. So I'd say that real turning point was the moment where we were starting to like really bring it back to the consumer and really get nerdy and deep in understanding who they are. I would say that was the big turning point.
I'm really happy, Bethan, to hear that you're using jobs to be done. And that's amazing.
We love it. We use it today.
That's brilliant. So talk to us then about the creative, Bethan. How long did it take you to work out what works and what doesn't work? And really, have you built this business on paid social? Is that what you've done?
It's a big part of it. It's not exclusively that, because obviously it's about acquiring the customers, but then it's also about everything else, making sure that the delivery of it is amazing, the customer service is amazing, and it's about getting those secondary, third, fourth purchases, which is through email campaigns, through inspiration, telling people how they can drink it, and also then a big part of our growth has also come from word of mouth. And we know that that's because we're delivering on the promise that we're setting out to deliver.
How early on did you start measuring what was working in terms of acquisition? And, what does that look like today?
We are data obsessed. So there's loads of different measurements that happen. We have weekly meetings with our growth agency, but then now also internally with our growing growth team. And so we're looking at things like, the performance of our ads, but also the conversion on our website, what pages, where are people converting, or what has not worked. So that's messaging, getting really core on the messaging on site, or a bundle, an offer, all of those details we look at. But then in terms of how we're acquiring, we, for quite some time, have had a post-purchase survey that pops up immediately after you've bought something. It says, how did you hear about us? And then we give them multiple choice options. And that forms a way of us understanding, are we growing word of mouth? That's one of the main ways that we are able to track that. But there's lots of different data points that we look at.
And has there been anything surprising to either of you along the years in terms of the who your target consumer is? Was it who you expected it to be? And have you had any pockets of super fans or super consumers who sit around either the same real life campfire or the same digital campfire, so to speak?
I don't think there are that many surprises anymore. It's interesting. Like, we have just launched into the US in November, and we have really focused on wanting to interview the US customer. So we're doing loads and loads of interviews at the moment to make sure that are we actually attracting the same customer profiles we have here. And interestingly, very much so, the customer profiles are really, really similar. And actually over there, they don't have many good options, whereas the UK non-alcoholic scene, in my perspective, is more developed, and there are better brands out there that are like led by craft and flavour, whereas over there they're not. So it's even more desperate, it feels like. Yeah, I think that we've learned a little more about pockets of our male customer, because I think although, and this is seen across most categories of D2C, the woman is more likely to be buying it on behalf of her household. So therefore you don't always necessarily have strong data to tell you about your male customer. But through the customer interviews, we do know many people are saying, yeah, my son, my husband, my partner are then drinking Mother Root. So it's not that we're only female. There are definitely more and more like sub pockets that we weren't aware of previously.
That doesn't really come as a surprise to us, but it comes as a surprise that that's our customer to other people who, I mean, the narrative around non-alc being led by Gen Zs who are sober curious and don't drink, I think has long frustrated me to read. I think it makes a sexy headline, but it's not actually the people who are buying into this category. They might be drinking less. They might be replacing their evening occasion with an activity, a spin class, a yoga class, and then a kombucha or something like that. But they're not actually buying into non-alc yet. I think it is definitely a phase in your life where you do less socializing outside and you're at home. Your life is busier than ever. You're juggling so many more priorities. And I think the Gen Zs will come into this category at that phase of maturity. And we are building a brand that seeks to be a legacy brand, timeless, and there to speak to that when they're at that stage and phase of life and deliver always like the best tasting product. But yeah, for us, we knew that it was this female-led, slightly older consumer. What did surprise me is that, again, a lot of new brands are sort of London-based, and particularly when you think of our price point, you know, we're £10 more expensive than the average product that's on shelf in the supermarkets. And yet, for example, the top area of Sainsbury's is the Northeast. Just even today, we were talking about a customer who's on the Isle of Raasay across the whole country, and it's not just a Southeast skew. So it's really across the whole of the nation.
So when you've done that calculation about like how big the business is at 70% distribution, will you text me? Because I'm fascinated to know. And so what happens next? So you're talking about launching in the States and you talked about growing the team. So what's the next phase looking like? I mean, how big is this going to get? Who's going to be on the team? What roles are they going to have?
Yeah. I mean, we're doing both of those things at the same time, which at the moment feels a little challenging, but also super exciting. Like the best part about growing this business is honestly managing to attract these amazing people who want to work really hard for Mother Roo, and they come with so much experience and drive. And our team is...
How many are on the team now?
10 full-time perm. And then we have freelancers and a couple of agencies that we work with, but we will likely be 20 by the end of this year. God. We're hiring at the moment for 6 positions.
And obviously you feel confident and comfortable hiring ahead of the growth for those, because I mean you've got a run rate that allows some liquidity, I imagine. What roles have you got for more or less for those 10 roles? Are they mainly marketing or are they back office, or what are they?
It's a real spread.
Okay.
Growth is a big one, and ops as well. I think one piece of advice that I got was make sure that you're hiring in ops at the same rate as you are spending in marketing or building in marketing. Nice. Because otherwise you're growing and things break. And so I think that's always the challenge is making sure that you're kind of balancing those two. I think another thing that we are facing and is challenging us as leaders is how to really lean in, you know, to your question, Fee, like, are we comfortable hiring ahead? I would say we haven't been. And we've been a little bit more cautious. I think we've had to be. I've not bootstrapped the business, but I haven't raised that much comparable to where we are at and where I think will be going. That's meant that we've been a little bit more cautious, and like everything is about, is this contribution margin neutral or like profitable? You know, we look at things really from that perspective, and looking at hires and like how long will it take them to pay back their role. But I think now, and especially as we've started to see the early signals in the US, which are so positive, and you see it is an adjustment as a UK brand to look at the scale of the US to really go, all right, guys, like the product is working, the repeat is higher, the AOV is higher. We should be much bolder. Like we need to go, and we should, start to be a bit more American in our like mindset. So it's actually the biggest thing is challenging ourselves to just be like, hey, let's go, and less reserved.
I imagine getting some people around you, really senior people who've done that before in the States. Are you going down the D2C route and the online route in the US as well?
Yeah, just online only. I've just come back from 2 weeks in the States, basically with the main objective of trying to establish what our strategy looks like in terms of multi-channel, but also trying to meet people who've done it. So UK brands or US founders, and talking to someone about our performance, and they essentially described it as chump change. And that over in the States, like you would not be classified as like a growing brand. They were like, there's a long way to go in the US, but their appetite for like this major growth, they're like, they were basically describing our product as like the best product they've tried. And they were like, you need to go bigger and more ambitious. But it's trying to balance for us. It's like trying to balance that we are ambitious and we do know it's going to do well, but equally to grow faster than we're already growing feels like a scary thing, because it doesn't come without its complications, scaling a team or scaling production or scaling everything that is required. But it is good for that mentality to be like, whoa, okay, we can really do this. So it's good to surround yourself sometimes with people like that.
So how are you then launching in the States in a kind of a controlled way?
Yeah, so we're D2C only in the States. And I guess when we reflected to Bethan's earlier points about like the changes in our strategy in the UK, it was to go deep and focused on one channel and win on that channel and like really master it and build brand awareness through paid social, essentially, primarily. So, and then that is what led to our grocery success, because we had that really strong foundation of customer base already, and we knew what was working in terms of finding new customers. So we want to do something similar in the US. So everyone was asking the question about, when are we looking to launch into the US? And I think that question mark is still open. We want to understand what the right level of penetration is in a couple of key areas. And then we'll build kind of a case study and a test bed. Our worst move would be to like launch too early into grocery because they feel like they've got a gap on their shelf, but people don't know us. So if it's not moving off shelf, then we've lost. We'd rather almost move too late and then know we've got the confidence to be driving a really strong rate of sale.
But are you in D2C in the States?
Yeah, so we're D2C. We launched in November. So yeah, we're 4 months in.
But it's only going as fast as you're spending, basically, I imagine, in terms of acquisition. You can turn up the volume or down the volume. Is that right?
But that's the conversation we're having at the moment. I mean, right now, we don't actually have the product to be able to go as fast as we could be going.
Sure.
So that's currently sat with me.
Right now, the dynamic is me, classic founder, being like, go, go, go. And then I was like, oh, we need to make the stock. Yeah, because it's just way ahead of forecast, basically.
That's incredible. Well done. Well done, guys.
Everyone says good problem to have, but I'm like, not when you're me.
And actually, Alice, this is a good time to come back to your background, because I think there's such a problem out there with sole founders going, I really need someone who's got complementary skills to me. And then they go out there and they can't find someone, but maybe they're not looking in the right place. So tell everybody what you did before, because I think that might help those listeners out there who are looking for their number two coming into the business it might help them to look a little bit more broadly in terms of background and CV.
Yeah, I mean, I was buying grated cheddar for a living. So I was a grocery buyer for Lidl for 4 years. That was the main kind of bulk of my career. No, and I did a small stint at the Yum Group, but grocery buying. So all things dairy.
So what capabilities, you said before that spinning loads of plates was something you were able to do. What else were you able to bring to this party? I think this is really important. Literally, what packages of skills, experience and capabilities did you bring to this?
I guess a more general commerciality within my remit was like product development, commercial like negotiations, forward planning, but also general kind of project management and an awareness of the retail space. So just from like being at the other side of the table to suppliers, brands, having an understanding about what works in retail. But I was also just a retail fanatic. Like I'm obsessed with retail, doing a retail safari when we were in LA with Alex. We were both in absolute heaven, going to like 8 supermarkets in a day. I originally approached Bethan because she was hiring for an operational role. I think operations means many different things to many different businesses. I basically think it's someone who can view a problem or view an opportunity and like pull the cogs together across like different functions. If you find someone who does that, then I don't necessarily think you need to have had ops on your CV prior to joining.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. One other question. You'd mentioned AI in our pre-call. What kind of things are you using in terms of what kind of projects, or what are you trying to automate, or what is making a difference for you as a team in terms of AI in your business?
I mean, we, I guess, have been adopting AI probably heavily in the last 6 months, but really have like gained momentum and focus on it. We have a brilliant person in our team whose sole role is business improvement. So she is basically helping us work on how we can better work collaboratively. So ways of working and processes. So the root of it, like lots of other CPG brands, is all based in Notion, and we're using it predominantly to improve how we work cross-functionally together, how we work in projects together, but also how we then, link all of our systems together. So we just have this kind of one brain, one process, because when you scale as quickly as we have done, actually the cracks start to appear when people don't know what they're responsible for, what needs to be done when. So it's about how you find the best processes so everybody has real clarity on what their role is. They know the pace that they need to be working at. They know where things are kept. Because when you bring someone new into that team, which is a requirement of scaling, it needs to already be set up in a way where they can easily just be onboarded into that routine.
Is this like an AI brain where this person can say, where do I find or what do I do? Am I supposed to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's linked to absolutely everything that we do. That is probably one of the biggest ways that we're adopting AI, even how we take notes, how we prepare meetings. But it's also about like our data manipulation, or like a sounding board for ideas. I guess our underlying thought on it is we've only just started and there is so much scope. I mean, things are moving really, really quickly, but we're just really keen to like chat with other brands, listen to loads of podcasts, just work out what the best ways that we can bring it into how we're working.
Okay, well, you're going to join Next Gen CPG.
Yes.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, it's just something that touches every single department, and every single one of us is curious on how we can use AI to improve strategic thinking or processes and administrative tasks, the things that we repeat on the daily.
Well, I love hearing that. I love hearing that it's coming from the top and that you're thinking strategically about it and that it's a way of unlocking value for the business rather than just tool tinkering, as I call it. And that's one of the reasons I set up Next Gen CPG, which is a WhatsApp community and soon to be online platform to help people move from that kind of tactical tool tinkering to strategic leadership in terms of where do we want AI to play a role in our business? How are we going to use it to unlock value? And then underneath each of those kind of value unlock areas, then start diving into how tools will help. It's crazy how as business leaders, we spend our lives telling our teams not to be tactical. But then it comes to AI, everybody's quite happy to spend 7 hours building something that doesn't actually work in the end, So that is a big bugbear of mine. We're going to have to wrap up. It's such a pleasure to have you both on, with this working so well after 3 years. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Exciting, scary, terrifying all at the same time. I can't believe massive houses haven't been reaching out to snap you up yet, because talk about a massive opportunity waiting to happen. Can I ask you a favour, actually? Would you both of you come on to one of our Wednesday firesides for this year's mini MBA and talk about your growth model and how you have gone from the 2 million to the 16, 18 million, whatever we were talking about earlier, and the questions around where to play with the states and stuff, because it's live. You're going through it at the moment, and I think it would really help, particularly given that you did the program 4 years ago. It would be really lovely.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Amazing.
Of course.
It's a Wednesday at 1, like for an hour, and I'll get in touch with you with the dates. Thank you both so much for coming on. Alice, really lovely to meet you properly.
Likewise.
I'm so glad you found each other, and congratulations, Bethan, for building the biggest value driving SKU.
Really rolls off the tongue.
I mean, it's unbloody believable. It's incredible. And obviously I haven't been getting some of your Facebook and Instagram ads, so I need to get myself into that feed. I don't know why.
You will after today. It will be listening.
Oh, it's probably because I'm on the Isle of Man. You probably haven't ticked the Isle of Man box. Loads of love to you both. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks,
and
Fee.
Wishing you the very best of luck on this huge journey.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Such a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
What an incredibly exciting time it is for the Motherhood team. I'm so in awe of what they've built, and particularly the idea that they're now going to the States with a business that is already showing incredible traction with the small D2C start that they've had. It's going to be massive. I mean, can you imagine if you're already the number one value driving SKU in the UK market and you've only got 6 percentage points of distribution? Like, the headroom is enormous. So this is definitely one to watch. If you haven't tried Motherroot, I'll stick a link in the show notes where you can buy it. It is really worth trying. I absolutely adore it. Thanks for listening. And if you enjoyed this podcast episode, please do share with a friend or colleague. And don't forget to write a review and click follow on your podcast app. Thanks.